Do you think that that has already diluted even the provisions of our constitution on representation?
And Edmund, before Wakili takes it on, there is a lot of misuse in these nominations. A lot of misuse. And you will find that most of them, they are girlfriends of those who mans or takes the leadership of these particular parties. So it is not something which is being taken to a particular order. And therefore, I would say, I won't support. Yeah. Even if it comes to the floor, I won't support.
Already at the county assemblies, this is what happens. In as far as representation is concerned, should Kenyans feel properly represented when it's political parties that have chosen just numbers from nowhere to fill up the spaces?
First of all, there is no value for money. I use that in a euphemistic way. I mean, you expect that once an electoral cycle is over, you will have leadership that will implement whatever it is articulated at the electoral level. I mean, someone comes to you and tells you, I'm the change. Look, believe in me. I'm going to effect this sort of change. I am having the dynamics that you need. And so you expect, of course, when you get there, you're going to do it. But they don't. And you wonder why. And then you see that, you know, they bring the tabs. I mean, the bill is so high. You ask why. It's because we nominated so and so and so. So who's that? Did you give me an opportunity? So chronism is entrenched thereby. And this chronism becomes extremely expensive, both for the electorate and the taxpayer, because, you know, you may be a taxpayer without the choice in terms of you didn't go to the ballot. For some reason, you elected not to, but you are being, of course, burdened by that. So whether you like it or you don't. And the electorate here is that they chose someone specifically based on their representation and whatever it is that they sold as the ticket for that political seat. And then you find that when they get there, there are such a huge disappointment, which is what is informing, in fact, the current move for the removal of this midterm elected people, and the IEBC is just shuffling its feet, doing nothing about it. We haven't seen any person recalled, and yet it's a constitutional imperative. So when political parties then decide they are going to meet this two-thirds gender rule, and therefore they need to bloat the numbers at the county government level without the consultation of the people, it negates the whole concept of democracy. Why are we even going to the election? So in my view, in my humble view, and I ask Kenyans to really not bash me on this, that particular amendment which the Senate is selling to the Kenyan people, I wish I was asked, or people were asked, I mean, hey, would you like the two-thirds gender rule to be removed?
Article 27.
Absolutely.
I think Article 27, Part 8.
I would be right there to saying, let it be removed, because democracy is blind to gender when you come to voting. What the person looks for is, what are you selling me as your program? What will you do? You may be male or female. As long as the gates are opened for anybody who wants to get into the arena of the political, platform, go ahead. I mean, like, male or female, it's open. The nominations are free. The election is going to be free and fair. No one is railroading anyone into the electoral cycle as in terms of gender. So if you ask me, we should be having that constitutional amendment to remove. And then this thread that is dangled constantly like a Damoclean sword on the Kenyan parliament. Oh, you're going to be dissolved anytime now because you don't mean the two-thirds gender rule. Look, I mean, you cannot have these as something that you tie as a leash on Parliament all the time. Unless you comply, then we will dissolve you. And this is taken away from the independence of the National Assembly or Parliament. When people are there and feeling that we haven't made the two-thirds gender rule, and therefore let's wait for the beefing of this particular number so that then we can meet the rule. So the wards are failing at that level. And worse still, they are not meeting the development agenda. Why? Because a large amount of the money that is allocated to them, or they collect, is going to these salaries. But who are you paying? Someone who was never elected, someone who's not articulating the vision of the county, and someone who is, quote unquote, unaccountable to you as an electorate because they were nominated by a political party. So it's a failure across the board. And you ask yourself, as a people, as a nation, oh ye Kenyan people, what is wrong? Why are we expending our money like this? Why are programs failing across the counties and all over?
Should we extend this debate to the issue of women representatives as well? Because, well, if at all it's the electorate to choose, okay, fine, they get to elect the women representatives per county, but should we look at it that way now that we've already opened this can of worms?
Allow me just one statement here. We as a Kenyan people, where we are right now, what do we want? Do we want gender for the sake of gender? Just to see that there are 2/3. Okay, fine, we're comfortable. Regardless of the cost, regardless of where we are headed to, plunging into this whole economic, social, political, or otherwise. And then we see that repeated year after year, all these 5-year blocks that we have elected someone and then we're waiting for now another cycle.
I know this could get you into trouble. These are your colleagues. You sit with them in the National Assembly. Do you think we're getting value for money simply by electing specific seats, setting them aside for a particular agenda?
One thing I would say that is a duplication, because when you have a senator who takes the scope of the county, and then you have a women rep who still also takes the scope of the county, that's a duplication of service and representation. I would say that, in fact, the authors of the Constitution brought this as in to serve that particular element of striking balance. But let me tell you, it did not give a blanket time. It put a time limit. Otherwise, that women position, according to the Constitution, it ought not to serve forever. It was supposed to serve for a particular time, then it lapses.
Okay.
And I think the country, what it should have done today is to agree that, in fact, we must leave the power of voting to the voter. And I have repeated here that women are the majority of voters. And if they feel that their gender is underrepresented in those elected positions, they are the one to clamor and do the best at the voting time. Then they can be able to elect one of their own, so that they can strike this balance of gender. But at the point in time when you are, whether this still is a constitutional order or a constitutional demand, it is not cast on a stone. It has proven not working. It has failed twice in the House. We should not keep on laboring on it. It has to come to an end. Okay. And what we should do is to amend that particular clause, because or take it back to Wanjiku. Ask Wanjiku what should be done. Take him to public participation before we make an amendment of that. And if Wanjiku still believes that it is still one of those particular positions, then she can raise the alarm. But as of now, it is a misuse of resources. And I would still to say that, in fact, as much as I always go with competition with this other gender, it is the people's power to decide whether it is that gender or whether it is Gakuya gender.
All right. Yeah. Section 27 of the Constitution on equality and freedom from discrimination, Part 8, in addition to the measures contemplated in Clause 6, which is something different, the state shall take legislative and other measures to implement the principle of not more than 2/3 of the members of elective or appointive bodies shall be of the same gender. And I think my panelists say that is what should go and not try to get ways. Meanwhile, there's notice from the Senate on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment number 2 Bill of 2025, which is seeking to create a way where now people of a particular gender could just be nominated to both houses, that's the National Assembly and the Senate, to ensure that that threshold is met. And this notice is to welcome your memoranda to the Senate before Friday, 30th of January next year, 5 p.m. on what you think about that particular amendment, proposed amendment to the Constitution.
Allow me, Fred,
Yes.
just to add to that. What if the majority of the memoranda or the views are that scraped? Will the Senate be honest enough to tell the Kenyan people, oh, we received the majority of opinions, the memoranda from Kenyans telling us Article 27.8 is actually now too burdensome. We don't want it, and we should drop it. Will they be honest? Tell the Kenyan people that that is what the Kenyan people's verdict is on that. We don't want it. We want a functional National Assembly, and in fact, we want to trim you down. We want to trim you down. Would they be willing to accept it? I have to wonder. And I have to wonder also, if I may say, that when you look at the National Honors Act, now they have in page 11 of today's standard.
It's there also on the Daily Nation.
It's also in the Daily Nation. I am shocked that out of the honors that will be given, 46. Out of the 60 honors, 46 are for the members of the National Assembly. They'll be received. Yes.
No, it's ahead of Mashujaa Day, and I'm sure probably that's when they'll receive the honors. I did not see your name there, Bwana Gakuya.
That's what I'm about to ask.
You've already received these honors, or are you hoping that someday your name will also be on that list?
Idimori, you don't force yourself to these things. And how the criteria used to get that particular chance is a criteria that is not open to everybody. So you just leave it to those who does it.
Yeah, this is coming from the National Assembly where you...
I am saying the criteria is not a criteria that we understand.
But have you questioned it yourself?
Nobody has even approached me. Not a single day.
But it's right there, and then the award...
And let me tell you, Idimuli, it is not my duty to force myself to the clerk or to the speaker to ask to be part of the list.
Well, the 36 members from the National Assembly will each receive the Chief of the Order of the Burning Spear, and about 10 others from the Senate will receive the same award. Meanwhile, other government officers will receive the Order of the Grand Warrior, that's OGW. Others will get the Moran of the Order of the Burning Spear, MBS. Yes, and the one is proposed here for the Head of State Commendation, HSC. That's Millicent Odera, Senior Superintendent in Joint Services. Also on that one, page 13 of the Daily Nation, page 11 of the Standard, it's also an invitation for anyone who may have any objection on the nomination of these 60 individuals to receive state commendations to forward your objections to the Joint Secretariat Parliamentary Honours Advisory Committee. So there is an advisory committee on this one, and you're saying you're not sure how they do it.
In fact, you can only be sure of what is happening if you are ever invited to the panel. If there is any qualification that actually one should be approached and be interviewed, I have not seen it.
You've never been?
Nobody has just approached me.
All right.
So it is done, but it's done just somewhere there. But I don't know why it's happening. And let me tell you, they are the ones who knows the criteria they follow. Yes, because I can tell you for sure, the criteria that one should be followed is one, even your seniority in that particular house. So serving that is up.
You are in your third.
I should be somewhere.
You are seen.
And you're yet to receive any of these awards.
I should be somewhere.
All right.
Yes. But you should not force. You should not force yourself to areas that maybe probably as of today. Probably there is also considerations of this political side.
All right, all right. As we make our final comments, a lot of Sakaja on the front page, or at least on one of the front pages. Babu's chess game sends Raila and Ruto back to the drawing board. This is Babu Owino. I know you also have aspirations to run for governor of Nairobi. I've seen on one of the cartoons, I think it's a cartoon on the People Daily, if I could have that on screen, where Sakaja is portrayed with some very huge horns. And the question they're asking is, why is Sakaja arrogant? And one of the horns is written Raila, the other one is written William Ruto. I'm not sure what question to ask on this one, so I'll just leave it open and give you each about 3 minutes to make your final submissions, starting with you, Akili.
It's very unfortunate that, again, I go to what I had said a little bit earlier. The electorate is offered this opportunity where they stand in a podium and they give all manner of promises. Oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'll do for you. And this is, you'll hold me to account. And, my office will be open and I'm going to allow you to air your views. And they develop such a thin skin thereafter and begin telling them that, wait a minute, the systems are not functioning in Nairobi County. And there is this complete total failure of accountability. And you don't have revenue collection that is commensurate with your promises, and then you seem to have gone to sleep in terms of the project and making Nairobi work again, although that's your motto and portfolio. I have to ask Sakaja, look at him in the eye, and then tell him, you're failing the Nairobi people. And one of the failures that you are is that you have never implemented Section 13 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act. Nairobi is not supposed to be managed by you. Nairobi is not supposed to be managed by your coterie of hangers around. Nairobi is supposed by law to be managed by a county manager. You are not supposed to be doing it, and you have usurped that constitutional role, which is why we have this failure in the governance of Nairobi City County. And then if you have to rely on your political patronage, and we're seeing those horns of one side is Raila, one side is Ruto, there are all those rumors. And hear me right, and I'm not even attacking you on a personal level. I have no reason to attack you on a personal level. There are all those rumors that you collect revenue in Nairobi State County, and somehow some of that money finds its way in sacks in some of those political leadership places. I don't know for sure. And you have to disabuse the Kenyan people, the Nairobi residents in particular, of that particular notion. But on aggregate, whichever way you look at it and however you want to present yourself, you are deemed as having failed to articulate your vision, which you told the Kenyan people in 2022, Nairobi residents in particular, that you are going to have a change from what was there before. They see themselves as worse off. There is absolutely no new pavements that you have made. Cyclists, which you say that, well, Nairobi is a green city, and you tout yourself as C40 cities, the leader, which I don't know where you got that from without the Nairobi people approving that of. You have all these concepts that the foreigners are giving you, to show around Kenyan people. You don't give them the space to play for their children. I want to ask you, which new field have you made, other than the land grabbing that you're overseeing left, right, and center? And this is with respect. It's documented. Every day people are complaining. My piece of land has a parallel title, all of that. And I didn't say that you are doing it. I say that your system is overseeing. The Nairobi people want the public space where they can relax. You close the Uhuru Park for the Kenyan people, Nairobi people, and I have to wonder then, what do you want for the Nairobi people? Where is a cultural expression of the Nairobi people? If I were you, every evening, every week, one of the Kenyan tribes would be celebrating their cultural, values, their food, their culture, and that would be a tourist attraction at the same time. If I were you, I would change the Cabra of Nairobi. Why don't we have motifs of elephants? And this is a wildlife country where the tourists come and they're able to see. I would change all of that. And then what are you doing? I see that you want to have a Cabra that looked like Europe. Look, even tourists who comes here sees, oh my goodness, Nairobi is dead and dying. We want life.
Right.
Every weekend you see the youth coming over. Why do we have the youth coming to express themselves? Why are they taking images and photographs in Nairobi streets? We want a change, and that's change, it seems to me, with tremendous respect to you, as long as you have those two horns, that you can be as aggressive as you want, we won't have that change.
All right. Wanagakuria, final words.
In one interview where Sakanja and his competitor then on an interview, his competitor called him a charlatan. A charlatan is one who steals in wholesale and distributes in retail. And this is exactly what you have seen in this particular regime, that there's no other business there. It is to cut cake, cut deals. There's a serious rampant of what you call stealing. And I can tell you, Nairobi is dead, as Wakili has stated. There is no way that you can tell us, even garbage, you cannot be able to collect garbage. The garbage only. You may be fail to do many things, but how can you even fail to collect garbages? Go to Modhurwa Hawkers Market. It is like the dump site. Move to Shauri Moyo. It is like dump site. Move everywhere. It is like dump site. So my big question is, really, Nairobians are paying taxes, daily licenses and everything. Where does this money add up to? As the national government disperses a tune of 20 billion per every year, but nothing seems going. Today, the workers are in 2 months without salary. Then my big question is it a dead organization? Is it insolvent at this particular time? When last 1 month, the governor was in the impeachment motor. He was saved by his friend Laila Odinga and William Ruto. And that's why the two horns are there, because those are the masters that he serves. But do he really serve them freely? So, have you forgotten to serve the city that elected you, and then your duty has just zeroed to serving two masters? That is the big question.
All right. The cartoon on the People Daily has the governor of Nairobi, a caricature of him with two very big horns, and under the question, why is Sakaja arrogant? And the horns are one side Raila, the other one Ruto. Sakaja is also on the front page of the Star today, and they're talking about Babu's chess game, which has sent Raila and Ruto back to the drawing board. And once you say Sakaja, it would appear then Raila and Ruto have to follow suit in the same sentence. Interesting times, and as far as the leadership of Nairobi is concerned. Thank you so much, James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, and Harrison Kinyanjui, Advocate of the High Court, our panelists this morning. And thank you for your vibrant contribution to the debates we've been having this morning. The headlines: do or die, parties rebrand for 2027 political battle. That's the Star. Why Faith threw in the towel. That's the Daily Nation this morning. And at last, once again, Faith on the front page of the Standard, juxtaposing it with an earlier headline where they talked about losing faith. Those are the headlines today. We're hoping to see more interesting headlines tomorrow. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.